Hi, I'm Tim from Tow & Farm. Today I'm going to show you how to uncrate and assemble your Tow & Collect 1500 Pro. There are two tools that you will need, a sharp knife and a hammer. There are some other tools required during the assembly process, but they are found inside the crate on the machine, which I'll show you in the next step. The first step is to cut the plastic packaging on the top of the crate next to the motor. This is so you can access the tools that are cable tied onto the height adjuster handle. Now we can cut the cable ties that are holding the spanners on the height adjuster handle. The next step is to remove the bolts at the front of the crate. Notice at the front of the crate the timber is cut square, where at the back it is cut at an angle. We only need to remove the bolts at the front, which is this end. Taking the 16mm spanner found in the toolkit, remove the nut from the inside of the bolt. Once the nut is completely removed, taking the hammer, tap the bolt to remove it from the timber altogether. If the bolt is tight, you may need a punch with the hammer to remove the bolt completely. You'll also need to remove the nut and bolt on the opposite side at the front of the crate using the 16mm spanner and the hammer. Using the sharp knife, you now need to cut the strapping and open the crate. The next step is to remove the drawbar from the back of the crate. This is done by using a sharp knife and cutting the cable ties which is holding it down. The next step is to remove the strapping that's holding the Tow & Collect to the crate. There is a strap behind each wheel and one in the centre. Once the strapping is cut, we can now unwrap the drawbar. Before we install the drawbar, we must remove these two bolts. Put them somewhere handy as we'll need them in the next step. Now we must set this latch on the drawbar fully open and lock it. Installing the drawbar is a tricky job and is a lot easier with another person. Before we start the installation, the two bolts we removed earlier, ensure that the washers are placed on the bolts and sit them next to the chassis for ease of access in a minute. Taking the drawbar with two hands, ensuring that it's on top of the crate, first place the tyne bar adjusting bracket through the locking plate. Taking one bolt first, place in the rear of the drawbar, taking the second bolt, place in the front of the drawbar. When replacing the nut, ensure that the washer goes on first. You'll notice there is 4 holes at the front of the drawbar mount. To determine which hole to put the bolt in to suit your tow vehicle, please watch the Adjusting the Tow Bar video first. Once you have got the bolt in the correct hole, we can then tighten the bolts using the 16mm and 17mm ring spanners. We are now nearly ready to remove the tow and collect from the crate. Before we do, we must ensure that the towing bar is lifted up and locked into the highest position. Secondly, ensure the wheels are down, which lifts the weight of the machine off the crate. To pull the machine off the crate, you will then need a second person to ensure that it comes off smoothly. Prior to using the tow and collect for the first time, you must remove the battery box lid and connect the battery terminals which are removed for shipping. You will notice there are 2 cables inside the battery box, a green and yellow which must be connected to the negative terminal and a red wire which must be connected to the positive terminal. To connect these you'll need 2 10mm ring spanners. Once they are connected, replace the battery box lid and then read the user manual provided prior to starting and using the machine. Thanks for watching today's tech tip on how to uncrate and assemble your tow and collect 1500 Pro. Until next time, happy collecting.